Hi everyone, it's Luane and I'm here with my tutorial, my version of this tutorial on the accordion style mini. The minis that you've usually seen online using this technique is usually done with a 12 by 12, and I believe it's called just a 12 by 12 mini. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I know I've seen several of these tutorials online already, but the mini ends up looking like this, and it's just basically accordion fold to make these pages with pockets. I haven't done this one, but basically it will look, whoa, all over the place. It'll look like this. So here is the bottom half, and then here is the top half. So basically for something like this you would score every 3 inches vertically and horizontally, and then you would cut opposite sides. So you would start from one side, cut in all the way to your last score, and then start from the opposite side, cut in to your last score. And you're just basically alternating. You're cutting from the opposite side and then going all the way through until your last score, and then you end up with something that kind of looks like an M or a W depending how you're holding it, or in my case a really weird E. And then you just start from one side and you just start accordion folding the paper. So you get to the edge and you fold it so it's accordion style, and you just keep going. And I'm just going to go over a couple of tips right now using this particular one as an example. So you end up with something like this, and you have all of these weird pages and flips and folds and things like that. So when you look at this, you have to figure out how to assemble it. So the best way that I figured out is you find your two sides with your single pages like this. Here's your single, it's your start and end right here. And for me, to utilize the paper the best is you have to have these single pages facing to your right. This will be your cover and your back cover, your front cover and back cover. And I'll go into that in just a second. So once you do that and then you glue all of your pages together, you do end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inside pages. Now let me see if I can show you from the top view. So because all of your pages are folded, you will have pockets. Each page will be a pocket. So here is your first page, which is this right here. This is your first page, your second, third, fourth side pocket, fifth top pocket, sixth, it can be top or side pocket, and then your seventh. So you end up with 7 pages. And I also want to show you the other way that you can bind these together, but you will end up with less than half of the amount of pages. The other way would be to have these single pages facing to your left. So now you have these 2 single pages facing to your left. Actually, let me move these minis. I do have a video on these that I just posted. So now you have your single pages facing to your left. So to create your cover, you're actually going to need to get this first page and this second page, and that will be your cover, front cover. And in the back you'll have this first page and then this second page, and that'll be your back cover. So because of how the paper is cut, you will end up having 1, 2, 3 pages, and you'll see why. These 2 pages are connected from the bottom. So you can actually bind this in a way to where you actually have 3 pockets. You have the pocket on top here, and if you create a hinge on the front and back, or back and the top, you will have another pocket either on the side or the top. I don't like this method because you waste so much paper doing it this way, and you only end up with 3 inside pages. So I do recommend that you use it with your single sheets facing to your right. So that's my little blurb on that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did my minis. I'm going to show you how I did this one here, which measures 4 inches across and 3 3/4 inches high. So basically what you're going to do, I have my cutter and my scoreboard, but I'm actually going to use my scoreboard first. You're going to grab your manila folder, and if you work in an office where they throw away the manila folders, grab them, because you will end up covering it up that you won't, if there's writing on there, you won't even notice it. So this folder here, my book is 4 inches across, so I will be scoring, my fold is on the left, and I will be scoring at 4 inches. And I'm sorry you can't see that. Let me see if I can maneuver the camera upward. There we go. Okay. So, let's see, my fold is on the left, so I'm going to butt this up to my scoreboard, and I'm going to lift the top page before I score. I don't want to score on the very top because it's not going to go through the second page, and I don't want to score so hard that I tear the paper. So I'm going to just hold the paper down here on my left and just lift up the first sheet and just score at 4 inches. You're going to grab your paper, flip it over, your fold is still on your left, and you're going to do the same thing. Lift the top page up, and then score at 4 inches. So there's that. And, actually I should have trimmed it first, what was I thinking? So because the book is 4 inches wide, we actually only need 8 inches of manila folder this way. So I'm going to trim my paper down to 8 inches. So the fold is still on my left. Make sure you keep your fold on your left. And just trim your paper or your folder down to 8 inches. And do not throw away the extra piece that you cut out. And you know, I didn't come up with this method, just want to point that out. I just took the idea of the 12 by 12 and incorporated that into the manila folder. So keep these extra pieces because you can use them for hinges for the book when we put it together. So, oh my gosh, I should have done the math before. I think, okay, I'll get to that in a second. Let's just do some more scoring. I have never been good with math, and if you ask me to add or to multiply 3.75 by 3, you lost me. You lost me at hello. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so we're going to now be scoring our paper every 3 3/4 inches. So now my fold is at the bottom of my scoreboard, so I'm going to lift up the top paper. Actually, I'm going to fold it at one of the score lines here because it's going to butt up with the camera stand. Okay, so we are going to line up our folder and we're going to score at 3 3/4 inches. And when you score, I have to use the bigger one. When you score, make sure you go through the center fold line of the manila folder. So you're basically going down through the original fold line of your manila folder. So you're going to score at 3 3/4. I said that I don't know how many times already. And then we're going to score at 1, 2, 3, 7.5. Okay, so 3 3/4, and again it's 7.5. And then those are the only 2 score lines we need to make on this side. And then we're going to grab our folder, and at the fold you will butt it up to the very top of your scoreboard, lift up the top paper, and just continue the score line to the very bottom of your paper. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? There we go. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? What in the world did I do? Did it go crooked? I don't know what I did here. Apparently I was not paying attention. I didn't line up my paper very well. So that's what I didn't do. Okay, so there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so now we have our score line at 3 3/4, 7.5, and then we're going to trim our paper down to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 11 1/4. See how I did my math there? So we're going to trim our paper down to 11 1/4 inches. Let's see, where is my 1/4? Cannot see. There we go. Okay. So now we have trimmed that down. Don't put your cutter away because we will need it next. So now that you have all of your score lines, make sure you fold your paper at all the score lines. And fold it forwards and backwards. So if you fold it this way, make sure you also fold it the other way. Same goes for the other score lines. There's this one. And then my last one here. And then flip it over and just fold it the opposite way. Sorry, moving the camera here. I did this. I folded it forwards and backwards on the first folder that I did, or the first mini that I did, which was this one. And when I did that, I noticed that my pages, when I glued them together, they lined up perfectly. For these little ones and this one here, I'm sure this is fine. I did it, but the spine didn't line up. Here's a spine. The spine didn't line up too well, and when I inked the edges, it didn't get to all of my pieces. So I thought that by folding it forward and backwards, it would help. So I'm kind of testing that stage out right now. So that's my reasoning for it. Alright, so now we have our paper, and here it is the long way. So basically what we will be doing, here, can I get it in full screen? Here we go. So here's my edge here and my other edge here. So I have every 4 inches scored here. And then from the top to the bottom, it's every 3 3/4 inches here. Right? So we're going to cut from our right hand side, we're going to cut from this edge, this score line here. You see that score line? We're going to go through the first, second score line, and we're going to keep cutting until this last score line. We're going to keep these two pieces connected. And then we're going to lift this up, and we're going to cut from the left hand side through the first, second score line, and all the way through to the last score line. So these two pieces will be connected. Now let me see if I can lift my camera up a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing when I'm cutting. And I don't know what my camera is doing. Hold on a second. I need a better setup for my camera, basically. Let's see. Whoa. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm going to cut this side, the bottom side first. So I'm holding my paper up, the long way facing up, and I'm folding the bottom up, because that's the only way I'm going to get it to fit through my cutter. Now if you don't have a cutter and you just have like a rehealing mat, a ruler, and a rotary cutter, that'll work too. Just make sure you don't go past that last score line. So for this one, I'm going to open up my cutter and have it at 7.5, because that's where one of our score lines is. See, that's our score line right there. So I have it at 7.5. And I'm going to cut down. Whoa. Oh goodness, I need a new blade. Hold on a second. I have been using this blade like crazy. Okay. And I actually do want to make another mini with this one, so I don't want to ruin the paper. Alright, so let me make sure it's lined up again. 7.5. Alright, so we're going to cut. Whoa, what is going on here? There we go. Don't cut through that last piece. So we're going to take this out, and it didn't cut. What is wrong with my cutter? Probably because I have it over my scoreboard. Okay, so I think I ruined this one. Alright, well, you get the idea. Alright, so I'm going to take my paper out, and I'm going to fold the top flap here, and then open up the bottom, and slide it back through my cutter, and then line it up again at 7.5 inches, if I can see, because I can't see. And then I'm going to continue to cut until this last score line. Actually, it didn't go all the way through there. So, okay, there we go. There's the last score line right there. Geez, that was complicated. And my cutter actually is, I don't know what's wrong with it. It hasn't done that. So now we have this right here. So here's the last piece, there's the fold, and it's connected. So all of this up here is split. So now we're going to rotate it, but the opening is at the bottom here and it's connected at the top. So now we're going to start cutting from this side all the way down. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold the top up, slide it through the cutter, and I hope it doesn't ruin my folder. Line it up at 7.5 inches again. Okay, and then we're going to cut all the way down, and make sure you don't go past this fold here. And then take your paper out, fold the top, open up the bottom, slide it right back through, line it up at 7.5 inches. Can I see? I have really bad eyes. Where's 7.5 inches? There it is. Alright, so it's at the very edge, so I'm going to just very gently move the corner over to the left so that when I cut, it doesn't cut the corner of this paper. And we'll continue to the last score line. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with this trimmer? Alrighty, so now we have cut through all of our paper, and there you have it. So let me take my trimmer away. I feel like I'm making way too much noise with this thing. Jesus. Okay, so now we have our paper, and it's cut like this. Can you see it? So now you can go from any edge, and you can start folding it accordion style. So I'm going to start with my top left, and I'm just going to start folding it accordion style, pulling it down and then over to the left and over to the right, and there's your book. See how simple was that? And with this one, again, here's my single page here and my single page here, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside pages. Now remember what I said about flipping it over the other way, like I did with the red one, this little red one that I did. If you flip it the other way, your first 2 pages end up being your cover, and then you end up with just 2 inside pages versus 5. So just keep that in mind when you're making it. You can certainly make it so that you have less pages, but for me personally, I think that's just a waste of real estate. So here are my front and back covers. So now for the binding. So this is what I did with my first book that I made. I ended up marking the front cover and then my left and right pages throughout the book. And I did that as a guide for myself so that I wouldn't get, I want to say confused, but that's the best word, I guess. I didn't want to get confused with which direction my book was facing. That's the front, left, right, left, right. And as you cover it up with paper, you can't see it. And then the back cover. So for me, it's more to just so that I make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing properly. So here's your front. Now to glue the pages together, I ended up using hinges from the same material as the manila folder. I just had extra manila folder, or those extra pieces that you cut off, you can use those as well. And I cut them at 1/2 inch, and I score down the center, and they are just 2 centimeter, no, 2, oh my god. Is it a centimeter? Oh my god, I feel like such an idiot right now. 2/16 of an inch shorter than my actual book. What is wrong with me? Holy bananas. Alright, so I just cut it slightly shorter than the length of the height or the width of my book. So when you open up the spine of the book, you see here there is a complete three-way opening. So for this one, I put my hinge at the bottom. I always put my hinge at the bottom when the pockets are loading from the top. So I put my hinge at the bottom, and then I put my side hinge. And when I put my side hinge, I put it on the inside of the bottom hinge. And I'll show you. I do it this way. So this is my bottom, and this is just another little thing that I do because of my slight OCD. So this is the bottom hinge, and then this is the side hinge. You glue the bottom one down first when it's a top loading pocket, and then I will glue the hinge on the inside like this so that the bottom is sandwiching the side pocket. And the reason why I do that is when you slide your tag in, here's a good one, when you grab your tag and you slide it through the pocket, it goes down and into the bottom hinge, versus if you had it the other way, if your outside was encasing the bottom and you had your tag and you slid it, it might get stuck on the bottom hinge. It's just a little tip. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it works for me, and I thought maybe it might work for you. So that is my tip on the hinges. Anyway, so you just open up your book from the left, and you attach the hinges to the bottom and the side, and you keep going. And your next page here actually comes down this way. And here you have two choices. You can either make it a side pocket and add the hinge to the top and the side. And in this case, you would actually attach the pocket or the hinge to the side if it's going to be a side loading pocket. And then you attach the hinge to the top. If you do want it to be top loading pocket, just attach the hinges to the outside of both sides. Then you turn the page, same thing, hinge on the bottom, hinge on the side, and this one will open up. And again, if you want it to be a side loading pocket, you add the hinge to the outside first and then the bottom. Actually, you couldn't have it be a bottom loading pocket. The tag will fall out, possibly. And then your last page, again, hinge at the bottom and then hinge at the side. A lot of people don't use hinges when they're making these minis. What they do is they just end up adding glue, just regular wet glue, or where's my other glue? Oh my god, score tape. You can just add score tape and just close it. I actually like using the hinges because I don't lose any space when I'm gluing down with actual glue. When you glue down, you lose a good 1/4 of an inch on the side and on the bottom, versus if you use a hinge, you don't lose that much space. So that is my tutorial on how I made that mini. And it looks like it's only been, what, 6 minutes? That's kind of a record for me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this makes sense. And actually, before I go, I don't have another manila folder on me. Shoot. But actually, let me grab one so I can show you. But what I want to go over, oh goodness, is how to make the different sizes. It's really easy. You just have to figure out how big you want your mini to be. And once you figure out how big you want your mini to be, for example, if you want it to be 4x4. The reason why this book is not 4x4 was because it won't work for 4x4. The pages aren't, it's just not long enough. This way. Here's my fold. Right? There's your fold. So this is where I scored at 3 3/4, 7 1/2, and then I trimmed it down at 11 1/4. I trimmed it down at 11 1/4 because I didn't have that extra space to make it 4 inches. So I couldn't score at 4, 4, and 4 because I needed 12 inches. That's why I ended up going with 3 3/4. But if you want something like this, that's 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, you will start off by scoring, here's my fold to the left, you will score every 2 1/2 inches, and then you will trim off the excess. Rotate it, and then score it at every 3 1/2 inches, and then trim off the excess. If you want it to be a 2.5 by 2.5, score every 2.5 inches and then trim off the excess. Same thing, you rotate it, score at 2.5 inches, and then trim off whatever excess there is. You can do a 3 by 3, you can do a 3.5 by 3.5. Just keep in mind the length of your manila folder. Actually, if you have the legal size folders, you can do a 4 by 4. That would be great. I don't have any legal size folders, but if you did have a legal size folder, you can do a 4 by 4. You can even make them bigger. This one here measures 3.5 by 5 inches. So, and this one I ended up getting, how many inside pages did I get? With 3.5 by 5, I got my covers, and then I have 3 inside pages, which is a cute little book. It's a good size to give to grandma or your mom, or I don't know, somebody else. It would make a cute little brag book. Anyway, that is it. I'm done. I'm not going to keep going with this. So thank you guys again so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I know I can be a little irritating sometimes and annoying, and I know this tutorial has been done before, but I really wanted to share the tips that helped me, which was the hinging and then the folding. I actually did another book where I don't know what I did wrong, and I folded it the way I would normally fold it, but the pages, it was just weird. I don't know what I did. Anyway, again, I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, you guys have a good one. Bye!